good piece of trivia. I enjoyed that. I honestly didn't know the answer to that. But does everybody know what today is?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Well, that's good. Tuesday, October 24th, to be more precise.
So 27.
Today is World Polio Awareness Day.
Really?
How about
I'm
that?
shocked.
So I see you have a polio jar. So I'm going to put $10 into your polio jar.
Very nice.
30 years ago, there was 350,000 cases of polio. This year, we've only had 11.
Wow.
We are very close to eradicating polio from the face of this earth. And you all should be very proud. So I have a little gift for your president.
Wow, thank you. Thank you.
I might have to get a different size.
Yeah, I think so. It's a good patch.
I might have a different size. So next time I see you, I'll change it. And polio now. That is.
Hey, thank you.
So, and if you are so inclined, at 5:30, there's going to be if you go to the Rotary site, there's going to be a live podcast, or whatever they call those things, coming out of the state of Washington. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation are hosting it this year, and they'll have some. Our president will be there, and a lot of other folks will be there talking about where we stand in eradicating polio. So that's 5:30, if you're so inclined. So that's my little public announcement. Moving along, I know we've been, this is before my presentation, these are just kind of things I wanted to catch you up on. We've had a lot of natural disasters, as we all know, in our world. It seems like they've piled up fast and furious lately. With the hurricanes in Texas, Florida, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands and whatnot, the earthquakes in Mexico, the fires out west, now the fires in California, and the earthquake in Italy. I mean, there's no shortages of natural disasters. So I've been asked the question, what is Rotary doing? Rotary is not a relief organization. We're not in that business. We're more of a recovery organization. But the way we are a relief organization is through our partner with Shelter Box. If you're not familiar with Shelter Box, it's a large box about the size of half the size of that table, and it has a tent and all the things that a family of 4 to 6 can use to survive. It gives them a tent, cooking implements, and some other things that they might need to survive. And Shelter Box has been in Texas, Florida, and Puerto Rico, and Mexico. So that's just something to keep in mind. There is some advisory funds that have been set up on the RI Rotary site, so if people are so inclined to donate to the cause, if you will, these are advisory funds that are directly connected to the areas that are affected. In other words, it all goes through the proper channels, so your funds are directed to let's say a district in the area in Texas where there's some definite need. And I always like to remind people, once it's out of the minds of the folks, it's not on TV every night anymore, the problems are still there. I mean, it's going to be years before these things are all taken care of. And that's where Rotary does its best work, partnering with other Rotary clubs and Rotary districts throughout the world. So I wanted to make that little announcement. The other thing I'd like to announce that kind of really plays in the hand of this World Polio Awareness Day. My wife, Janice, is on Sunday is heading to Nigeria for our National Immunization Day in Nigeria. Nigeria is still one of the endemic countries for polio. She'll be gone for 10 days doing polio vaccinations, and she'll also be handing out malaria nets and passing out some tricycle wheelchairs for polio victims. So I'm pretty proud of my wife for doing that. My wife's not a Rotarian, and this is something she saw a presentation on it from Ann Lee Hussey, and she was so inspired to step up and go. So And the other thing she's doing is she's representing our district at UN Day, which is going to be held this year in Geneva, Switzerland. So after she does her Nigeria journey, she'll be going to Geneva, Switzerland to represent our district there. So, Alan, do we know what Alan's favorite candy bar is?
I saw it, so I'm not saying.
Nobody?
The most popular ones.
God, I should have passed around the hat and see if we can come up with it.
I almost said last night.
Three Musketeers.
That is.
See, bingo bango. How's that? So you're probably wondering how I knew that. It wasn't telepathy or anything like that, or I didn't hear his stomach growl. Back at President-elect training, I had asked all the President-elects what their favorite candy bar was. And he actually wrote it down on a piece of paper, so diligently, as a good President-elect should do. And the idea of this little exercise was just to learn a little bit more about our fellow Rotarians. You know, we meet and have lunch every week, but do we know, what Alan's favorite candy bar is? So it's just kind of that reminds us that we can all learn from each other, learn a little bit more about each other. One more question. What's Alan's favorite color?
Blue.
You got blue. and I want to hope it's a rotary blue, so so. One windy March day, the mayor of the town decided to take a stroll across the park. He ran into a small boy who was flying the biggest, most beautiful kite he had ever seen. It soared high, gently across the sky, that the mayor was sure it could be seen in the next city. This little town didn't have very many things that were spectacular, so the mayor decided to award a key to the city to the one responsible for such a beautiful thing. Who was responsible for flying this kite, the mayor asked. I am, said the little boy, holding with all his might to the beautiful big kite. He said, I made this huge kite myself with my own hands, and I painted all the colorful pictures on it. I fly it. I am, said the wind. It's my breeze that keeps it flying in the air, so high and big and beautiful. Unless I blow on it, it will not fly at all. I fly it. Not so, claimed the kite's tail. I make it sail and give it stability against the wind's blowing gusts. Without me, the kite would spin out of control, and not even the boy could save it from crashing to the earth. I fly it. So who flies the kite? They all do, don't they? In the day-to-day hustle and bustle of work, it's easy to forget that everyone flies the kite. Without the team, the leader would never be successful. Without a good leader, the team would fail. Both need each other, and each person on the team need one another as well. They all fly it. What kite are you flying? So I am honored to be with you here today. I'm proud to be speaking to my fellow teammates in Rotary. You all should be very proud of the work you do in your communities, locally and nationally, internationally. I'd like to share with you a quote from Helen Keller. Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. In my talk today, I want to tell you a little bit more about me and how I became passionate about service above self through Rotary. I want to also share RI President Ian Risley's message and theme for this Rotary year. And I'll also share our district's theme, and hopefully you'll see how this all ties together. I'll conclude with some important dates for events that I would like you to consider participating in. So let me get started. I grew up in Ridgewood, New Jersey, a very typical suburban neighborhood. I am one of 5 children, with 2 older brothers and 2 younger sisters. Yes, that's the middle child. I know that explains a lot. My first experience in service came through scouting. I joined scouting as a Cub Scout, and at an early age worked on small service projects in the community, such as picking up trash around our local parks. We also had fundraising projects, selling everything from dating up bread around the holidays to selling magazines. I stayed with scouting all through my youth, and eventually earned the rank of Eagle Scout. Through scouting, I learned about community locally, nationally, and globally. I enjoyed fellowship with my scouting buddies, and I learned about leadership as I grew with the program. I also learned about teamwork, how a group of scouts could do so much more together than alone. Scouting and Rotary have a lot of similarities. Both organizations base their works on strong ethics, and both look to strengthen their communities with service and have a common goal of making the world a better place by serving humanity. My first experience with Rotary started when I was quite young. My dad is a Rotarian and has been for the last 60-plus years with perfect attendance. Dad used to take us with him to his club service projects. I don't think we even knew it at the time, but my brothers and I would tag along and help, sort of, with Dad's Rotary service. My first Rotary meeting that I attended when I was about 12 years old. You see, Dad always went to Rotary, even when the family was on vacation. He enjoyed visiting other clubs and wanted to keep his commitment of 100% attendance. So, on one vacation to Vermont, I got to go with Dad to a Rotary meeting. It wasn't that I was eager to go. The real reason was that I was a bit of the family troublemaker, picking on my younger sisters. So I think my mom directed my dad to take me with him. Little did she know that I would become a Rotarian and later a district governor. The real irony is I landed up joining the Middlebury Rotary Club, the same club I visited with Dad when I was 12. So technically I've been a Rotarian since 1989, but I've experienced Rotary most of my life. Dad did set a great example. I also have perfect attendance for 28 years and counting. Our district theme this year is teamwork. I came up with this theme, which I alluded to earlier, with my scouting background. But in more recent years, I have volunteered with a local high school football team. I've volunteered for the last 15 plus years as a supporter and a sideline coach. That experience of being on the sidelines year after year, watching, observing, coaching these young athletes, has showed me how they come together each season as a team, and how it takes teamwork to be successful in achieving that common goal. Seeing how each member plays a role on the team, and how they feed off each other, how they support one another through the good and the bad. So I see this in Rotary as well, and how teamwork is how we get things done. I would like to share another quote with you if I could. The strength of the team is each individual member. The strength of each member is the team. Phil Jackson. RI President Ian Risley has a theme for Rotary this year. Rotary, making a difference. Ian states, what is Rotary? We've all been asked that question as we go about our daily routines. We answer that question, what is Rotary? With our actions, by making a difference through our service. Ian has asked us to follow his initiatives in this coming year. And one of his initiatives is environmental sustainability. So he has tasked us with this tree planting initiative. He would like a tree to be planted for each Rotarian around the world by Earth Day, April 22nd, 2018. So Alan, I have another little gift for you. Thank you. There you go. Thank you. So that tree is a Colorado blue spruce. I did that in honor of my son Chris, who lives in Colorado, and he just completed the Continental Divide Trail through hike. And if you're not familiar with that, that goes from Mexico to Canada. He just completed that 3 weeks ago. And my son was in the Marines, and that was one of the challenges that he needed to help him deal with some of the issues he's had. So I do that in honor of him. Thank you very much. I'll get a picture. So if there's a tree planted for every Rotarian, that would be 1.2 million trees at least. And this is Rotary's first foray into the environmental side of humanity. President Ian thinks that if we're going do good in the world by serving humanity, we need to take care of the planet that we live on. If we worried about clean water, then that also ties right into being environmental stewards of planet Earth. So I think his message is great. The tree is a great symbol. We live in a part of the world where we have lots of trees, but think of the areas that just went through a bunch of fires. Think of the areas that don't have trees. Think of some of the other areas that could use trees. So the symbol is great, and I would encourage your club to take on a tree planting project. Another message from Ian that I would like to share with you is his vision on peace. He believes that through our work in the humanitarian service, which includes the 6 areas of focus, and the work with the Rotary Foundation, this will drive us to the top of the pyramid, which is peace. He would also like us to reach out and strengthen our membership, broaden our membership with diversity, which includes individuals' unique skills and interests. And lastly, but perhaps more importantly, enhance Rotary's public image and awareness. We need to tell our story, how Rotary is making a difference. It's important the world understands what Rotary is, and what we do. I've heard this from clubs and members, and perhaps you've heard it as well. Rotary needs to change, needs to adjust. Answer: Rotary has changed and has become more flexible. Our clubs need to change, need to adjust. We can change and we can adjust. We all too, as Rotarians, might need to change and adjust as well. You all might have heard this line at a meeting, at work, and not necessarily Rotary. We have always done it this way. If you're part of a team and your team isn't succeeding, then there needs to be a change. True, we don't always know what the right change or the adjustment will be, but we do know we need to change. Examples: how and when we meet as a club, how we do our service projects. Is this the right service project for us and the community? How and why we do fundraisers. Is it time for a change? Of course, the biggest reason or excuse why we don't change is fear. Fear that the change we will make will be wrong. It won't work, that we will fail. My fear is if we don't change or adjust, we will disappear. So it comes down to risk versus reward. We might need to take some risks to make some changes. So just like on the football field, sometimes you need to change the play call, as that old play doesn't work anymore. Rotary International has recognized that our organization needs to change for society. They are adjusting and making adjustments. The rewards will be well worth it. Rotary has come a long way in its 112 years, and I think this Henry Ford quote is quite fitting. Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success. Rotary is teamwork. We work together, we collaborate, we have a common goal. We can do better as a team. Look around this room. These are your teammates. Learn their favorite color. Learn their favorite candy bar. Work with them. Support them. And succeed with them. So here's to your team, your Rotary Club, your success. I want to thank each and every one of you in Rotary because you're making a difference. Thank you. So a couple events that are coming up. One is November 11th at Linden State College. We have our district team training seminar. Everybody is welcome, not just the leaders of the club. You always take something back when you come to one of those seminars. So that's November 11th at Linden State College. I'm sure Alan's already told you all about it, so I'm not going to. But it's a good thing to come to. The other thing that I like to mention is I've got this poster here. Next May 4th through 6th, we're having a summit, not a district conference, but a summit because it's on Mount Washington, so summit.
Well done.
Better than most. Some clubs it's like, woo! But you guys are right on top of it. What I'm doing this year, or what I've decided to do, which has really played into my teamwork theme, is that I've teamed up with 4 other districts. So there'll be 5 districts involved. One of the districts is to the east of us, which is Maine and Quebec. So another district with Quebec clubs, which would be great for our Quebec friends in our club, our district. One of the other district is southern Maine and parts of New Hampshire. So we get to know those folks. We're also going to have the Boston district. So we get to know what Rotary is like in the city. And then central Massachusetts. We'll have the district from there. So there's 5 districts. May 4th through 6th, 2018. That's the first weekend in May. It may still be a little cold up in Mount Washington, but we'll be inside with warm fellowship. We're looking to think that we might have anywhere from 600 to 800 Rotarians at this event. So it's going to be kind of like a mini conference as far as that kind of thing. We've already lined up our keynote speaker for Friday night, and this is something I'm very proud of. Not only hosting the event, but we have Ian Risley coming. Oh, wow. The RI president is coming to our district. So I am very excited about that. So that's a good reason to come, if nothing else. So the other event, and we're going to have a lot of great sessions on different topics of Rotary and just have a lot of fun. It's a great venue. If you've never been there, it's a fabulous setting. I did put some brochures on the tables. The other thing that happens next June, the end of June, is Rotary Convention, International Convention. It's real close this time. It's in Toronto. So it's basically in our backyard. I know it doesn't seem close, but it's about as close as it's going to get for quite some time. So Toronto, June 23rd through 27th. If you've never been to an international convention, it's worth it. You'll see Rotary at a totally different level. Meet Rotarians from all over the world. I mean, from Asia to Europe, all over South America. I went to Atlanta this past June, and it's a great time, and it's just amazing the work that the world of Rotary does. So, what we're also thinking of doing in our district, if there's enough interest, we're going to put some coach buses together and go over as a group. So that could be a lot of fun. Somebody said, call it the party bus, everybody will show up. So, but that was Alan's. No, I wasn't. But anyway, so if you're interested, there's I have some brochures out on the tables. I do have more, but Toronto's a fun city. If you've never been there, there's a lot to do in Toronto. So I'd just like you to consider those dates. And I thank all of you for what you do in your community and what you do in the name of Rotary. Thank you.